All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just doing this recording for tutorial 5 because there is a calculation that are possibly important for your midterm exams. So I just want to make sure that I have that recording in case you would like to go and use it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there's going to be, we started talking today about all of these activities, about crashing, the duration of the various activities in a project. So we're going to go and now start looking at those activities the same way we basically were doing before. So basically, you have here, it's different in a lecture. You know, in the lecture, you had to calculate the slope, okay? So what I need you to bear in mind is if I was to give you an exercise in the exam, slope might not be given for you. You might need to go and calculate slope yourself. And the formula to calculate it might not be given to you. But in simple words, can anybody tell me how can I calculate the slope? What is the formula, guys? Can anybody remind me what is the formula to calculate the slope? What is the formula to calculate the slope?
Minus normal cost over normal time minus crash time.
That's correct. Crash cost minus normal cost divided by normal time minus crash time. Very, very well done. So sometimes you might be given an exercise like that. You might be given crash cost, crash time, normal cost, normal time, and you are asked to calculate the actual slope yourself. Slope is how much is it going to cost you every time you are going to go and crash the project by one period. How many periods can you crash it? To calculate it, you will do normal time minus crash time. So 3 minus 2, I can crash A by 1 period. 6 minus 4, I can crash B by 2 periods. 10 minus 9, I can crash C by 1 period. 11 minus 7, I can crash D by 4 periods. So that's how you calculate how many periods you can crash. And you basically have to go and calculate how much is it going to cost you every time you crash one, which is your slope. Now, in this exercise here, you notice you don't need to calculate this, but that doesn't mean that when I'm going to go and give you the exam, I will give you the slope. Doesn't mean that I'm going to tell you how many periods you're going to be able to crash it. It is possible, but it is not always the case. Now, let's look at here. How many passes do we have, guys?
2.
2. I want you to count the duration of ABDF and the duration of ACEF. Tell me what is the duration of each. What's the duration of each?
10 and 12.
10 and 12. Which one is longer?
ACEF.
ACEF. Okay, great. I want you to go and add all of these normal time, normal costs together, add them together and tell me what is the normal cost under normal circumstances. $1,000. So under normal circumstances, which is 12 days, under these normal circumstances, which is 12 days, it's going to cost me $1,000. Does that make sense? Do you understand? That's what it's telling me.
Sorry, sir. I have some confused in this section. Would you mind to talk it a little bit detailed?
Yeah, I said that. So this is the normal cost. That's a normal cost. If you add the normal cost together, what's the total? So if you add all of these costing together, my friend, what total would you get?
1,000.
1,000. That 1,000, if you then go and count the duration of this and the duration of this, you find that this is 12 days. So that's the longer one. So you know that for 12 days, the project will cost you 1,000. The direct cost of the project is 1,000. That's all what we've done. So what you do, you might write something like 12 days direct, indirect. So what you will do, you'll do a table like that, and you say, okay, direct, 12 days direct cost is going to be $1,000. So that's what we basically calculate. Now, we have A, C, E, D. 4 plus 4 is 8. 8 plus 3 is 11. 11 plus 1 is 12. Same here. 6 plus 3 is 9. Plus 1 is 10. So we know that A, C, E, and F is the longest pass we have today. For me to reduce my project duration, I have to reduce one of the activities, either A, C, E, or F, because that's the longest pass. We know here which activity I cannot crash, guys. Look here and tell me which activity I cannot crash. Which one?
F, sir.
F cannot be crashed. Okay, correct, because there's 0 period. So we know that's why there's an X here, because we cannot crash it. So I can only crash A, C, or E. Which one do I crash? A, C, or E? Have a look here. Do I crash A? Do I crash C? Or do I crash E?
C.
If you tell me any of them, you need to tell me why.
C has the smallest cost.
Well, are you saying C is cheaper than A and cheaper than D? Sorry, it's cheaper than E? So E is 70.
Yeah. A is 50 and C is 30.
C is 60.
Not divided by 2.
No, it's how much the slope is, how much
That's
is
the
it going to
actual-
cost you
that's the
per
actual
period.
You don't need to divide anything else
No,
out.
it's per period.
I was confused.
So slope means per period.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
which one
So
do I
50,
use? Do I do A, do I do C, or do I do E? Do I crash A, C, or E?
A, sir, because it is the lowest cost.
Okay, so I do A. So if I crash A, how much would my cost increase from the original $1,000?
3 times.
It's going to be what?
$50, sir.
It's going to be $50. So we're going to have now 11 days is going to be $1,050. Okay, I want you to draw in front of you the network diagram, guys, because you need to follow what you're doing. So I need you to draw it. Okay, I need you to look at this. So now here used to be 3. Okay, how many times can I actually reduce A, guys?
One time, sir.
1 time. So when I reduce A by 1 time, what happens here? This becomes what?
2x.
2x. And if this becomes 2x, how much does the duration of this pass become? And how much is the duration of this pass becomes?
Nine and 11.
9 and 11. Okay, so which one is the longest pass after we already crash A?
ACEF.
ACEF. And we can't crash A and we can't crash F, so we can only crash C or E. Which one do I crash? Between C and E.
C, sir.
C. So C, because C is 60. How many times can I crash C?
2 times.
2 times. And because I can crash it 2 times, I basically go and look here, and this becomes, instead of 4, what does that become?
2.
2. So I'm going to try to draw it for you on a paper. I wish I can. I'm going to try to see if I can put it somewhere there so that I can show you step by step how we do it.
So you have to draw each and every time the diagrams when we do the calculation, sir.
I recommend you do it so that you don't actually make a mistake. Okay.
Like each and every time we have to make the box, sir. Like.
Look, it is a recommendation. It is not, you have to. I'm just recommending so that you guys don't make a mistake. That's all.
Okay.
Okay. So, okay. So let's look at the graph. So we've had this graph initially. Then what we've done is we did this one here. And this becomes 2x. Correct? And then the cost, I'm going to go and try to see if I can write something here. 12 days. I want to make it bigger, right? 12 days became equal $1,000. 11 days equal $1,050. So if you do it one step at a time. So you can see here, if you now go 4 and 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, we know that 11 days is 1,050. Now, we then need to go and say, you do something like this. You could say something like, okay, now I have A, B, D, F equal, you say 3, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9 days. And you would say, and A, C, E, F equal, and you would say 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9, 10, 11 days. Okay, so guys, which one is longer? A, B, D, F or A, C, E, F?
ACEF.
Okay, A, C, E, F. Now, we can't crash A, we can't crash F. We can only crash C or E. So which one do I crash? Which one do I crash?
E, sir.
C or E?
E 2 times.
Why did you crash E? E is 70 and C is 60. Why did you crash E?
C, sir.
Crash C equal $60. Okay. Total cost becomes 1,050 plus 60 equal $1,110. Okay, so that becomes here, and you would say here, okay, now for 10 days equal 1110, and you see I crash C. How many times can I crash C?
2 times, sir.
Okay, so instead of 4, what do I do?
2x.
No, I'll put 3 because I only crashed it 1 time, not 2 times. Does that make sense? You crash it 1 period at a time.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Now, we've already crashed it 1 period at a time. We'll do the same thing. Let's go again. All right. A, B, D, F equal 3 and 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. And A, C, E, F equal 4, 7, 8, 9 equal 10. So which one is the longest?
ACEF, sir.
Okay, so what do I crash, C or E?
C again.
E.
Okay, why E? C is 60, E is 70. Why would you crash E?
Because it's cost less.
Yes, C costs you less because it's 60. E will cost you 70. So if you look at the costing, if you go to the cost, you see that C is going to cost you 60 and E is going to cost you 70. Which one is cheaper?
C, of course.
C. So that's why we go and do C again. So if I go here and I come in here to the drawing that I'm doing for you, you can see, okay, then what I'm going to do, I'm going to crash 60. Total cost becomes, so I have already 1,110, 110, plus 60 equal 117. And then what will happen to this 3, to the C that I have here? Instead of 3, what would I have?
2x.
2x, because we've already crashed it one time. And that's why I put 2x, which means I cannot crash this anymore. And then I go back to the same thing. Let's go and look. Now I have A, B, D, F, A, C, F. So 3 and 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. And A, C, E, and F equal 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So they both equal 9 days. I can only crash, I need to crash one from each path. Which one do I crash on this path?
E, sir.
I have to crash E. So crash E, which will cost me $70.
So if both are same, then like even though we have to crash it, sir, like the both are equal. So
If they both are equal, you would usually use the one that is closest to the beginning.
because like both are 9 days. So
Yeah, but if it's 9 days, mean if I reduce this, but I don't reduce this, the project won't be reduced. If I reduce this, but don't reduce this, the project won't be reduced. So the only way you can reduce the project duration, if you can reduce the duration on each pass to be able to go and get this reduction to go and really happen. So you need one on this path, which is E, and you need one on that path, which is either B or D. Which one is cheaper, B or D?
B 60.
B is what?
D. D for
D is 60, correct. So plus D, which is equal 60. So what will happen? The cost of your project will reduce from 1,170 plus I add to it 130. It becomes $1,300. So then you will say, all right, now guys, for 9 days equal 1,170, for 8 days equal 1,300. So that's what you go and do. And usually you would have indirect costs. So you can compare direct and indirect costs. And from there, you'll be able to decide which is the best duration for us to go and actually use.
So
Does that make sense?
Can you please explain that last part again, crash E?
This one here?
Yeah, the whole part, crash E. Yeah.
Okay, so now we got to the stage where we have this path and this path. They're both equal 9 days. The only way for us to be able to reduce the duration of the project is either we crash an activity that is shared for both paths, but we can't do that because A, which is shared on both paths, is already maximized, and F, that is on both paths, is already maximized. So we can't do either of them. So we have to do one on this path and one on this path to reduce it. To choose which one on this path to reduce, we'll have to see which one is cheaper, B or D. And we know that from the information that is given, we know that D is cheaper. And from the information here, we know we can only crash E, which is 60. So when I go and say I'm going to crash E, which is going to be 70, crash D, which is going to be 60, we add the total cost, which was 1,170 for the 10 days duration. That gives me 1,170 plus 670 plus 60, which is 130. Tell me it's $1,300. And what I'll do from here is I have to go and see that E could only be crashed once. So I have to put here 3x here. And I know that D could only be crashed, D could be crashed twice. So what I will do here, I'll put 2 instead of 3 because I could still crash it one more time. But because you now have one pass where you cannot crash it at all, even if I crash this and make it even shorter, the project won't be reduced because that pass also cannot be reduced. So if you get to the stage where you reduce one, but the other one is not reducing, there's no point for you to continue reducing at all, because it's simply wasting resources and wasting money. Does that make sense?
So one path must be reduced to the lowest extent.
Yeah, we're basically reaching the smallest possible. So reducing the project duration is about asking, can I still reduce the project duration? Now, if let's say you try to reduce this, let's say you try to make this shorter. Even if you make, let's say you make this 1, 2 plus 3 equal 5, plus 1 is 6, plus 1 equals 7. But if you count here, this is still 8. So even though you're reducing that to 7, this is still taking 8. So the project duration is not actually reducing, because the project is still taking 8 days. So once you see that you crash and one pass can't be crashed anymore, you know, you see, I can't crash it. So if I crash it, if I reduce one side and the other side remains high, there's no point, because you're basically wasting your money, because the project duration is not reducing.
All right. Got it, sir.
Make sense?
Yes, pretty much.
Any question on this first question, guys?
No, sir.
Anyone
On-
else?
sir.
Sorry, my friend.
I am good.
All good. Okay, great. What I'm going to do, I'm not going to give you too long. I'm going to give you 5 minutes break. Have a break for 5, and then we'll come back and we'll continue with more exercises. And this time I want you to start thinking like I'm thinking, and I want you to do what I'm doing in front of you on a paper, because you need to be doing that by yourself by next week. Okay, so let's go and do the same thing. I'm going to delete everything as if I have done nothing. And you're going to be basically doing the same thing with me. I'm going to just delete all of this. I'm going to delete all of this, and we're going to start all the way from scratch from another exercise. This is exercise number 2. So this is the exercise. This is the information we have. And this is the graph we have. I'm going to just copy that graph there, so that you'll be able to go and do the same thing on your paper, and we'll be able to continue on. But before I start with anything, I'm going to give you 5 minutes break. Enjoy your 5 minutes break and come back, and let's continue, because we still have a lot to do, but enjoy your break, and then we'll come back in 5. Thank you. Guys, now this is the second exercise we would like to go and talk about. So this is the exercise here. I want to remind you that you don't
really have a
always...
good signals. Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, guys. So I want you to remind you that that information here, crash time and crash costs, are not always given to you. So you need to be able to go and calculate these things yourself if they're not given to you. So please bear that in mind. I don't want to kind of underestimate the importance of being able to go and do that yourself. Now, let's do the first thing. So what's the first thing we do, guys? What's the first thing we need to do here?
We identify which ones take the longer time.
Okay, so let's go. So how many passes do we have? We have A, B. So let's go here. So I have
A, B,
here.
C, F.
Okay, so I have A, B, C, F equal 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 days. And A, B, D, E, F equal 7, 8, 9, 11, 12,
13 days.
13 days. Okay, so which one is the longest days?
A, B, D, E, F.
Okay, so we know that 13 days equal, what's the cost? We know that it's $1,000. Can anybody tell me how I got the $1,000 from this picture here?
We add the normal cost.
We add all the normal costs together, we get the total information. That's correct. Now, the second thing I want to ask you, out of this path, which ones cannot be crashed?
A and F.
A and F. And that's why you go and see here, you'll be able to see that we have A here is 2x, and you see we have F here 1x. So we know these cannot be crashed. So can you guys tell me which one is the longest pass?
Longest path?
Longest path.
It's A, B, D, E, F.
Okay, so we know we can't crash A. We know we can't crash F. We know we can only crash B, D, or E. Which one do I crash?
D.
Okay, D. So we make D equal $40. Cost equal $1,000 plus 40 equal $1,040. Okay, so if it's equal $1,040, I did D. How many times can I crash D for? How many times can we crash D?
Just one time.
Just one time. So instead of 3, what do I put?
Instead of 4, 3. 3.
3, only 3?
3x.
3x, so that I know I can't do it anymore. Then I'll count and I know, okay, now 12 days equal $1,040. Why 12 days? Because 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 1 plus 2 equal 12 days. So that's 12 days, that's 13 days. That's what we know. Does that make sense?
Pretty much.
Do we understand?
Sir, in D, where did you get that 40? The $40 for D?
Where did I get it?
Yeah.
In this example, it was given to you from this table here. You know that this is a slope.
Yeah, the crash cost. Yeah.
And this is how many you can crash it. But if I give you an exam, most likely you'll have to calculate these things.
Okay.
Okay? So now I want to ask you guys this question. If I was to go to the next activity, the longest path is still A, B, D, E, and F. Which one would I crash? I can't crash A, I can't crash D, I can't crash F. What do I crash?
E.
Okay. Why would we crash E? So let's look at the passes. Let's look, we have A, B, C, F, and equal 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 days. And A, B, D, E, F equal 12 days. So you said, I will crash E. I want you to tell me, why would you crash E? What do you think, guys?
The crash cost is lower.
Okay, but remember that burst passes are equal. So if you crash E, you will reduce one side, but you won't reduce the other side. So the cost won't, the duration won't decrease. The only way to reduce the duration is if you reduce one from each pathway, because otherwise they're going to both be equal. So if you reduce this to 11 and this remains 12, the project won't be delivered any quicker. Or if you do this 11 and this remains 12, the project won't be finished any quicker. So both of these must be reduced. You have to look at each path to reduce from each path. Let's look at the first path, B and C. Which one is the cheaper?
C.
C. How much does it cost you?
50.
50. And let's look at here, B and E. How much would it cost you? Which one is cheaper?
E cheaper.
E is cheaper. So if I add C and E, what's the cost?
100.
100. What about if I add B? How much does it cost?
200.
No, it's only 100. One period of 3, B equal 100. This and this together also equal 100. But this is an activity that is earlier, and this activity is on both paths. So if I reduce this, it will reduce this path, it will reduce this path, and it is earlier in my project. That's why I will do B instead of do C or do E together. Because if you reduce this path but not this path, the duration of your project is not going to be decreasing. So your question is, why don't I reduce C and E together? Correct?
Yes, yes,
Okay, C is 50 and E is 50. That's 100.
yes.
And this is on both paths, on this one and this path. And this is also 100. So why do you reckon we do this instead of doing both of these together?
Because it's the same, you know.
I know, but this is earlier in the project.
Okay,
And you will always try to reduce earlier in the project rather than later in the project.
all right.
So that's why you would do B instead of doing C and E.
Okay, I got it.
So you'll do B equal $100, cost equal 1,040 plus $100 equal 1,140. So you would say really 11 days equal 1,140. And what do you do here? How many times can I crash B?
One time.
One time. So what happens instead of 3? What do I put?
2x.
2x, that's correct. Now I continue with the same thing. Say, all right, ABCF is now 11 days. ABDEF is 11 days. All right, now what can I crash?
Is the initial project duration the longest time?
The longest time. There's always the longest duration is the longest time. That's a project duration.
Now we crash C and E together, I guess.
Now you crash C and E together, correct? Because that's the only two left to actually crash.
Yeah.
We'll do C equal $50. E equal $50. Cost equal 1,140 plus $100 equal 1,240. So you would say 10 days equal 1,240. Does that make sense, my friends?
Pretty much.
So in the exam, you need to see the step-by-step.
Well,
How we did that.
I do recommend you do it, not because you have to do it. Like, I don't want you to draw this 10 million times. I don't care. As long as you put it on a paper next to you and you scribble so that you guys know what you're doing, so that you can see what's happening, you only need to put this for me. Like, if you put this, I can see you know what's happening. I don't need you to really go and draw this every single time. If you want to, you can do it. Or you can draw it one time in front of you and just make the axis so that you can know what you need to crash.
So the final answer is 10 days, $1,240. That's the last
Correct.
one.
You can't crash it anymore, and you have to bear in mind that after you crash, this becomes a 2, and this here C becomes, because you can only crash C one time, C becomes 5x, and because now this one passes can't be crashed anymore, there is no point to crash anything on the second path.
Now we can crash C 3 times.
Well, yes, no, you can only crash it one time. Actually, sorry, no, I'm looking at the next exercise. Actually, sorry about that. Let me have a look.
It's all right. It's 3 times.
So E could be crashed one time. Sorry, so E is 2x, and this one here becomes 5. Okay, which means because this can't be crashed anymore, there is no point to crash that, because even if you can crash this more, because you can't crash this anymore, that's it, it's finished. There's no point to make any more crashing. You guys understand?
So it depends on the cost as well.
100%. And this is, you notice that in both of those exercises, I only give you direct costs. I haven't given you indirect costs. But, you know, sometimes I give you indirect. So same as I give you direct costs here, I might be giving you indirect costs, you know, of, let's say, 13 days. You might say 200. Indirect costs for 12 days. You might have 100. So you start adding the totals together to be able to decide which duration is the best duration for me to go and crash the project.
So we don't need to do anything for the indirect cost, right? It's a given. It will be given if it's needed.
In the indirect cost, I'll usually give you that. That's correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Alrighty? Now, if you don't mind, for the third exercise, I want to give you around 10 minutes for you guys to start working on it by yourself. All right, so I'm going to give you 10. I want you to start working on that exercise, give it a go, and then we'll start discussing that after that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so now we are talking about the third exercise, and I want you to guide me on the third exercise. Let's start. What's the first thing I need to do here?
Compute the total.
Okay, so A, B, C, F, H equal how many days? 11 days. A, B, D, G, H equal 16 days. And A, E, H equal 8 days. Which one is the longest?
16.
16 days. Okay. So we know initially 16 days equal how much is the cost?
1400.
$1,400. All right, perfect. So we know these are the passes. Now let's start and ask ourselves this question. Which ones can't be reduced?
H.
H can't be reduced. Okay, so out of these three passes, which pass should I reduce?
A, B, D, G, H.
Okay, so H can't be reduced. There's only A, B, D, and G. Which one do I reduce?
G.
G. Why would I do G?
It has the lowest slope, crash cost.
You are correct. It have the lowest, so G equal $20. And then the cost is going to be cost equal 1,400 plus $20 equal 1,420. And what else do I do now?
Reduce G by 1.
Okay, I reduce G by 1. How many times can I crash G?
Just one time.
Just one time. So what do I need to change? What do I put instead of here? What do I put?
For X.
I would put 4x, perfect. And then what do I do next? What do I do next?
It's A, B, D, G, H.
I have to then start counting again. All right, so we'd have to count the passes again. Now, what can I reduce now? I know we can't reduce G. I know we can't reduce H. What can I reduce?
D.
D is $40. Okay, so D equal 40, cost equal 1420 plus 40 equal 1460. And now I know that I've reduced D by 40. And what do I put instead of the D here?
4X.
4X. And now this is finished. Now I have to go and count again. This becomes 14. What do I crash now? There's only A or B. What do I crash?
B.
B. Why B?
Lowest crash cost.
Yep. Cost
among A and B.
1460 plus 80 equal 1540 And again, what do? I have to go and reduce B. And how many times can I crash B? We could only crash for once. What do I put here?
X.
What do I put? What do I put instead of this?
2x.
2x. All right, great. So that's done. Now we count again. And what we have now is we have, this is a 13. Okay, what do I crash now?
A.
A equal 100, I think. 100, cost equal 1640. And I can only crash A for one time. So what do I get here?
Is 1x.
1x. All right, great. So now I've done that. Now I have, this became 12. This became 10. And this became 7 days. What do I crash next? What do I crash next?
I don't think you can crash anymore.
That's it, guys. Well done. Well done, amigo. If you can do this, you can do any exercise I'm going to give you. Alrighty, matey. It's not that difficult. If you practice, you become perfect. Now, I'm going to just very quickly upload this for you. I want you to work on the next exercise. So start working on the next exercise, guys. While you're doing that, I'm going to be putting your lecture. I'm going to load your lecture on Moodle. So just start working on next exercise. Okay, here. Can you guys see me? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Sorry, just because this is a question. So if you crash, they give you the that as notifications. All right, guys, I'll need to load it later because I can't actually can't do the systems actually playing up. Okay, guys, so I'm going to go and talk about this last exercise. So if you go and look here, they're telling you that you have a indirect cost. It's telling you the indirect cost is $700, the total indirect cost, and there's a saving of $50 per time unit reduced. So if I reduce by one duration, it's going to basically become $50 cheaper. If I reduce by another duration, I'll be able to go and have it a bit more cheaper. So that's what I have here. And that's a network diagram. So let's start with the beginning. Which path is the longest? Which path is the longest? ABDG, ACEG, or ACFG?
ACEG.
ACEG. And out of ACEG, which activity do I reduce?
E.
E. So the cost becomes $1,220, okay, for a duration of 13 days. But what would the indirect cost be? If I reduce it by one duration, the cost will reduce by $50 from $700 for the normal 14 days. So that's 700 plus 1,200 because direct plus indirect cost. If we reduce it by one duration, we save $50. So instead of $700 indirect cost, we'll have $650 indirect cost. So we will have now 1,220 plus 700 plus 650 give me 1,870. Which activity do I then reduce after that? We've already done E, and we know that E could only be reduced once. So which activity do we do after?
Wait, so it's 650 because of the indirect cost?
Yeah, so the indirect cost.
And then you reduce 50 for each day?
Yeah, the original indirect cost is $700. So if I add 700 plus 1200 for 14 days, that equals 1900.
Mm-hmm.
What they're telling you is for every period you reduce the indirect cost, you reduce the duration, you will reduce the indirect cost by $50. So
Okay.
if we go and reduce it by activating activity E, that becomes 1220, but then the indirect cost, instead of being 700, which is what we have here, becomes
It's
50 cheaper, so it becomes
1
650.
plus 20 plus 650.
Correct. So the total becomes 1220 plus 650 equal 1870. So then this activity here, E that I've done, this becomes 4x, and I can't reduce it anymore. But after I reduce this, which activity do I reduce after that?
C.
Which one?
C, sir.
C, correct, because that remains the longest past. And if I reduce it, the cost change from 1220, it will increase by 40. So it becomes 1260. This becomes what?
4x.
4x. And 1260, what do I add to 1260?
600.
$600. No, 600, because we've already had 650 for the period before it. You add 600, and that give you the total for that other duration.
Can you repeat that again? What will you add for the cost?
Well, you're going to add the cost of activity C, which is $40. And then the indirect costs reduce a further 50, reduce from 650, reduce to 600. So your total cost becomes 1860.
So why are we reducing $50, 50 bucks in the indirect cost? Is it just because the question saying?
Because the question told you we can actually reduce by $50.
So then it will be 1,200 plus the cost of C. 40.
No, it becomes 1,260. Remember, you're adding the cost every single time. So the period 13 days, it was 1220.
Oh, with the previous one.
Correct. And then you add an extra 40, that becomes 1260.
And then it's a different indirect cost. So it's not, okay, yeah.
So I'm just trying to load it, but the computer is really, really not doing it for me. Okay, so basically that's one here. It basically shows you that that's for 13 days. It was 1220, and then here, I reduced one extra duration. I have to load the answers for you, but I've reduced one extra duration, and then basically I got you to the total of 1260, which is because you then reduce this activity C. You reduce that, this becomes 4x, and we know that the cost for C is $40. So on top of that 1220 that I have here, I add an extra 40, which bring me to the total of 1260, and this reduces from 650, reduces 600. So your total will become 1260 plus 600 becomes 1860. Does that make sense? Does that make sense, guys?
Yes.
All right. Now, I will load for you the answers later today. I would encourage you to now continue working on the other exercises during your own time. And when I upload you the answers a bit later, you'll be able to go and compare your answers to the answers that we have here. You'll be able to see any mistakes you're doing. But if you can do that exercise, then definitely you'll be able to get 6 marks out of 15 on your midterm exam. Okay, that's because you are in trimester 1, 2021, and putting that exercise in the actual calculation. But you might be in further, in another session, you might be doing the subject later, and that might not be a question in the exam. So, but just, it's important calculation, because even if it's not in the midterm, it's usually in the final. I always give all of those calculations. But that's about it, guys. I will load the answers a bit later for you, but I want you to make sure you do all of these practicing. Now, I want to say thank you very much for all your effort, all your hard work. I really appreciate it. And I want to wish you a great night.